Hello, and welcome to episode number 10 of Boutique Talk. My name is Jake Boston, otherwise known as Steelbook Obsessed on all your major social media platforms. And if you want to listen to all things physical media related, then you've come to the right place. Every week, I have on a new guest to talk about their collecting journey. And today, my guest is a person whose movie and music tastes are most similar to my own from all the people that I've stumbled upon on the rough streets of YouTube. It's Movies with Ryon, and that's Ryon with an O. Don't forget it. How's it going, man?
Yes, it's going good. My mom had to be weird and misspell my name, but
I was gonna say, I think
it is what it is.
you're the first person I've met who spelled Ryan with an O. So yeah, wear that badge with pride.
They exist. I know that. I've yet to meet one though.
But yeah, you're probably looking out for all of them. Yeah, you got to stick together, right?
Got to make sure nobody steals my identity.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Trying to get over this weather cold. That's about it.
Yeah. My daughter's doing the same thing, so I totally get it. Well, thank you for coming on. This is the
Thank you for
last.
having me.
Yeah, this is the last week of November, so I tried to cram in as many Criterion as I possibly could. And when I asked you, the first movie you said you wanted to talk about was a movie that I love that I don't hear a lot of people talk about anymore, even though it only came out like 4 years ago.
No, it's one of my favorite movies of 2019 too. I think it deserves more love.
Yeah, agreed. I used to do a podcast with friends back in the day, and it was my favorite movie that came out in 2019. So I can't wait to talk some Marriage Story, go over the packaging on the Criterion collection too, because there's some very cool stuff on the inside here. One of the main reasons why I love collecting physical media is because of stuff like this, packaging like this. But
Yes.
that's why I started collecting. Let's go into your origin story, Ryan, with an O. How did you start collecting physical media?
I mean, I think most people my age, I'm early 40s, 44, and grew up in the 80s and the 90s. Ownership was a big thing. Started with CDs, big music collector, collected a lot of CDs. It fell into movies. Um, steady stream of DVDs for a long time. But then when COVID hit, being at home a lot, nobody was ever out. So I started hitting my thrift stores, started finding a bunch of movies, and it just kind of developed from there. Fell into the Bluetooth world, and now what's behind me is the reason.
Yeah. Now you got a wall full of goodies.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I've watched YouTube. Like I got big on TikTok pretty quickly, and I've just this past year have been dipping my toe into the Bluetooth space, and I've enjoyed every second of it. I think the community that's over here, second to none. They're so tightly knit. It's great.
Yeah. I haven't dipped into TikTok yet. I'm still a little weary about it, but I mean, since I've gotten into YouTube and all that and Instagram, I mean, it's been a great community, a bunch of different people out there from all walks of life. I found a lot of great recommendations from it all. Made me spend some money, unfortunately.
That's what it's good at. If you're gonna collect, you gotta make a commitment to it. That's for sure. Yeah. This did not come cheap, but if you hunt for your stuff, like for me personally, I don't buy a lot of stuff day of. I try to save as much as possible, be as frugal as I can, hit up the thrift stores, the Goodwills, the secondhand shops. And if there's something that I really want that comes out day one, I'll grab it. But that's been more and more rare these days.
Yeah. And you're in the same existence I am as with Steelbooks. We've got to buy a lot of those new releases day one, or we're going to miss out on them. And we know second market's stupid, insane on prices.
Correct. Yeah. Steelbooks are the Wild West for sure.
Yeah, and that's about the only thing I buy day one nowadays, except for like imports. There is some stuff, more boutique collector stuff from overseas. I do try to get day one, but yeah, your 4K, you're going to get it on Black Friday for $9.99, or it's going to be on sale in a couple weeks, or it's whatever.
Right. While we're talking about Steelbooks, next month is probably going to be the last month we can ever shop at Best Buy. Do you have like a final Steelbook that you're going to buy from there?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what's coming out next month. I have been watching your what's coming out videos, but I really don't think there's much coming out in December I'm excited for. Maybe only a couple titles. It seems like they've been kind of winding down for like the last 6 months or so with their sales.
October and November were jam-packed with Steelbook releases. December is kind of not a lot. Like for exclusives that I can think of off the top of my head without looking at anything, there's Avatar 1 and 2. They're coming out with Steelbooks finally. And then the main exclusive from Best Buy that I'm going to pick up is Point Break, and that's next week. The 4K Shout Factory edition.
I might pick that up. That's a movie I've never been really big on, but
Mm.
it is a Shout Steelbook. They usually do really good on them, but the thing with Shout
Oh,
Steel, kind of have them in stock readily available for the most part.
they do, but they're going to get rid of their stock. It's either like shit or get off the pot at this point, I think. And
Yeah,
that once you,
excited for at all. I'm not an
it,
Avatar fan.
yeah, I have the 4Ks already. The steelbooks are like $42 too each. It's just like
Jeez.
I don't like Avatar that much, but Point Break is a fun enough movie, and the artwork on that sucker. I don't know if you've seen it or not. If you haven't, look it up.
No, I
You will
haven't.
be like, oh, okay, I might buy this. I will probably buy this.
See, now you're doing the Steelbook trick, man. You got to check out the art exclusive.
I'm good at it. I'm too good at it.
Yeah, I honestly I haven't even seen what's November. I'm pretty much on a week by week basis on Blu-ray.com to see what's coming out. I'm trying to budget a little bit better around this time of the year.
Yeah.
Just because Christmas time, got 2 kids, you got to buy presents and all this other good stuff, and a little bit more expensive this year.
Right. I'll go into the comments and then we'll talk about the budgeting thing a little bit. Hollow Note says, "Heyo, we got the monkey greetings. Wilkie sent you over. Well, that's good. Yes. We had a nice meetup in Iowa, and it was a blast catching up with him. I'm so glad he's starting to make content finally. Dell, what's going on,
Yes.
man? And here's Wilkie here. And yeah, great conversation, Wilkie. Cannot wait to hear it. Love going over to KB Loves Movies and doing those conversations.
Yes.
I did it once, and I've checked out a bunch of them.
Yeah, I've pretty much watched every single one of them he's put out. KB's a great content producer, provider, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. And Wilkie's conversation was great. It's good to see him out finally and making videos and stuff, getting out in the community a little more.
Yes, all of us were egging him on to do it, and it took a few months, but he finally did it, and I couldn't be more happier. He's a great guy, and he's got a lot to say on stuff. So yeah, so happy to see him in here. But we were talking about budgeting a little bit. The Criterion sale was this month. How hard did you go into Criterion?
Not as hard as I did in July, even though Hollow Notes has already yelled at me because I said I was only going to pick up 7 titles, but I picked up 10. Good thing, though, is I did save money because I don't know if you got into the basic membership with the stamps and all that. Like, I think I've already gotten 2 movies free during this sale just from the stamps and buying and all that. So that has helped out. The past July, I overspent. I think I bought 35 titles and it was just ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's nuts. And I didn't realize Barnes & Noble had this stamp program until I had the meetup with the guys and they informed me. And I was just like, oh, okay. Why haven't I been doing this for years? I'm mad that I haven't been doing this for longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And the July sale was even more insane because I think that first week they were offering triple stamps. So it was like you buy 3 Criterion, get 1 free basically.
Right.
And it was ridiculous.
My family went there on Small Business Saturday, I think, and they were offering triple stamps that day, just randomly. So I had no idea, but I earned another like $10 just from buying the 2 movies that I did. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been insane. But I try to take it easy. Like I said, Christmas coming up. July, I really wiped out my whole wish list. Pretty much this sale, I was picking up everything as came out between July and now. Try to keep it simple.
I mean, that is pretty simple. Hollow Note says you can't double stamp a triple stamp, but on Criterion, you can. Barnes & Noble will let you do that, man. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is kind of simple to buy everything that comes out. I mean, that is definitely dedication, Ryan, but more power to you.
Not everything. Not everything that came out. I bought a lot of the newer titles that I wanted. I'm not buying all of the Criterion. I mean, I may have a few behind me, but yeah, I'm not buying them all.
Well, before we show off the titles that we picked up, how did you first learn about the Criterion collection? Do you remember?
Wes Anderson. So the Royal Tenenbaums came out, and I went and seen it in theaters. I fell asleep during the movie because at the time I think I was working 3rd shift. I'd been up all day. I went on a date with somebody. We went to go see it, and I fell asleep about halfway through it. Got a copy of it, started watching it, and then I wanted to see Bottle Rocket. Well, I was at my movie store, and they had the Criterion Collection DVD. I was like, what is Criterion? Because it goes this boutique label. They just put out all sorts of weird stuff. And Wes Anderson was kind of my introduction to Criterion. And then I forget, I picked up a few other titles, and then I kind of really didn't think about it for a while. And then when I started getting into blue tubing and buying and all that, and I found out about the sales at Barnes and Nobles, and it kind of just grew from there. But Wes Anderson is the reason I got into Criterion.
Yeah, he's one of the main reasons for me too. I've always been a director focused watcher, I guess. I like to see
Yeah,
how a director evolves through his filmography. And I had a big Wes Anderson kick in college. I worked at Hollywood Video for a year, and that's where I found out about boutique labels, period, because they had a Criterion section with all
yeah,
the DVDs and Blu-rays that have been released. And it was so amazing just to have like a little film school over there. The first title I remember seeing, because I when I worked there, I was so overwhelmed just trying to figure out where everything was. I didn't look at the Criterion section, but I still remember there was a random, or not a random, a person that got into the store a lot, a local who would just go in there like every day, every other day, check out stuff, all that jazz. And he checked out Solo, and he's like, "Oh man, this
oh,
movie's so messed up." And I'm like, "I don't know what this is. I don't know if I want to touch this after you saw it, but I will put it back." That's where I went to the shelf, and I'm like, "Oh my god." All the spines were numbered. I'm like, why is this a thing? It was, yeah, just very cool. And then you start looking into the titles that the Criterion Collection have. That's one of the reasons why I love collecting that label, is just because you can blind buy pretty much anything, and you know that you're going to be in for a good watch.
yeah. And since I love Asian cinema, it was a very easy way to get a hold of like Kurosawa,
Mm,
Mizoguchi, Ozu, a lot of the older films that really are not readily available in America, in just standard format. And it's led me into other countries too. Like this year, one of my goals was to start picking up stuff from other countries like France. I think I picked up something from Turkey, a couple other places, and just kind of really expanding on my worldly knowledge of movies.
mhm.
Not that my knowledge is the greatest, but trying to get out of that little Asian sect and move into other countries as well.
Man, but I feel like you are the main person that I know that is into Asian cinema the most. If you have a niche, just stay in that niche and get like more and
Yeah.
more informed on it, you know?
Yeah. I'm the unofficial aficionado of Asian cinema apparently now,
That's not a
which is
bad
fine.
thing. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Hmm. Yeah, Wes Anderson, almost his entire filmography is on Criterion Collection. There's a couple randoms, like Isle of Dogs needs to come out here.
Yeah.
If they have Fantastic Mr. Fox, that one needs to.
Isle of Dogs, Asteroid City, and The French Dispatch, I think, are the only three
Yeah.
that are not on there yet. Which I
I could
don't
see.
understand. Isle of Dogs. It should have been in like a 2-pack with Mister Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, out of those three, I could see French Dispatch getting the next one. But
Yeah,
I feel like Asteroid City is a no-brainer, and Isle of Dogs, I feel like, is just a movie that is becoming more and more forgotten. Because you said you fell asleep during Royal Tenenbaums. I fell asleep in the theater watching Isle of Dogs. It was way too late, and just friends randomly said, "We're gonna go see this." I'm like, I guess, and then yeah, I snoozed.
it was good. My only issue with it was I could every single voice actor that was in there, like I could just see their faces on the dogs,
Bryan
and it's just
Cranston,
kind of
especially, that's the
it
one. Yeah.
yes, it threw me off.
Yeah, a little bit. I need to rewatch it. I bought it just on basic Blu-ray, but yeah, I will. I'll watch it again one of these days. Um,
I think I got the steel book of it if I remember correctly.
ooh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I did not pick that one up. That one sold out very quickly, Ryan.
Yes.
We talked about this. Um, your Criterion collection behind you. How many titles do you think you roughly have back there?
If I can get a good view here. So it
There you go.
starts
Yeah,
right here
let me
with the
make you a
one.
little bit bigger. There you go.
Yeah. So it starts here with the Wong Kar Wai box set. Then I've got a couple of the Eclipse series, but it's there, here, this one, and then this here. I think there's like somewhere between like 50 and 75 movies per shelf. So I'm
Oh,
roughly probably about 225 ish, maybe somewhere around in there.
nice. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I think um I just bought a Laserdisc player earlier this year. And ever since I got that, I've been on the hunt for Criterion on Laserdisc. I have about like
Yeah.
6 or 7 titles from them. Like Wizard of Oz came out on Criterion, Sling Blade came out on that format. It's just a whole bunch of random movies that either they lost the intellectual property for, or or somebody else owns them now. It's very cool to see. And I think altogether through all my formats, I have about like 75 titles. So just one of your shelves.
Yeah. I go overboard and I buy it. Criterion is my favorite boutique label as
Yeah.
far as a movie standpoint. As far as packaging, like I prefer like Second Sight does a much better job. Arrow does a much better job of packaging, but for movie content, definitely like Criterion. Speaking of Laserdisc, that's one thing. I don't have a Laserdisc player, but I was in St. Louis, met some other Blue Tubers earlier this year,
Mhm.
and we went to a record store and they had was it the Hard Boiled or the Killer? One of the two on Criterion Laserdisc, and that's
Very cool.
really like the best transfers you can get, but they didn't have both of them. I was looking for both of them because I want to hang them as wall art.
Oh,
Because a lot of
sure.
those Criterion Laserdiscs are very, very nice looking.
They're nice looking and they're stupidly expensive because of course they are.
Yes.
Yeah. I found it. I don't know how I found this guy, but just on Facebook Marketplace, I found another collector of Laserdisc around in my area. And I took every Criterion he had except for like a couple of them. And there were like big $100+ Laserdisc Criterions that I wanted, and he just wasn't giving away. And that's okay. But what do you do?
Yeah.
But let's start going over what we picked up this month during the Criterion Collection sale. Since I bought 2 and you bought 10, let's I'll have you show off 5 and then I'll show off 1. I think that's a good way to go about it.
We can do that. Most of these I know nothing about them. I buy a lot of stuff. It's either from directors that I've already seen, or it's just stuff that's won awards that we just didn't get in the States, or it's Asian cinema, one of the 3. But the first 2, I forgot that they came out with these Janus Contemporaries line of more newer Blu-rays.
They're
So I
cheaper
did pick
too,
up.
right?
Yes, they're only $29.99
Yeah.
versus $39.99. But I did pick up EO and Godland. There we go. So I know EO won a bunch of awards, and Godland I know nothing about. The premise of it just sounded really cool. It's about a man of faith that's going to take pictures like somewhere in Sweden and test his faith. And then EO is just about a released circus donkey that wanders the land and meets a bunch of people. And I like movies like that where you just you get a sense of the surroundings and the people and let you see the country and all that they're in. Because, I mean, we're in America, like America's America. Like you don't really get to see other countries, like I guess, but donkey for the win.
Yeah, if you go outside the U.S., you'll get cultured very quick. That is for sure.
Yes.
Just
and
how
the next 3 are
the U.S. is.
Yes. The next 3 are Asian titles. The first one is from Mizuguchi. Again, don't know anything about it. I'm picking it up because it's Asian. Again, I think I own like 90% of the Asian titles on the Criterion Collection, but it is a story from Chikamatsu. It's basically about a lady that is the bride of a wealthy statesman, and some stuff goes on and she's trying to get out of it. I know. Next one is Stanley Kwan, Rogue or Rouge, however you want to say it. Basically, 30s Beijing love story, sort of like In the Mood for Love with Wong Kar-wai. Similar premise.
Okay.
Just came out, I think, this year. Had to pick it up. And then a movie that's not Asian, but it sounds Asian. I've been wanting to pick this up for a while, and I don't know why I've never done it, but it's a Melville film, and I've never watched anything by Melville, and that is Lay Samurai. And it's like a gangster flick, sort of like a solo Ronin type guy. And I've heard really good things about it. People have always gave it praise, so I figured, what the heck, I'd pick it up for the sale.
Nice. Okay, for my lonesome 1 pick, like I said, I like to collect directors in my Criterion collection, just in general. But if I have a few Martin Scorsese movies. One of his first movies finally got released on 4K, so I picked up Mean Streets. It's been far too long since I've seen this sucker. I've been meaning to rewatch it, so when I saw that this was getting a 4K release, I knew I was going to pick it up during the sale. Robert De Niro in like one of his first movie roles, and he is a baby in this. Very, very, very vicious, just like always. But yeah, good stuff with Mean Streets.
I was going to pick that up, but I'm a huge fan of the Second Sight box sets, and I've already been hearing that. I guess the way Criterion and Second Sight do their disc, I guess their compression rates and bit rates and all that are a little bit different. And I'm assuming the second site's going to be a little bit better
And that box set
overall
looks
picture.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's like $25 more, but the box sets look nice. They always do a good job on their stuff. So I'm holding off. But my next 5, not too much. There was a movie that came out, I believe, in July called Chan is Missing. It was a new title in the collection. I watched it. It was about Chinese immigrants trying to make it in America, what they have to go through, how to broker themselves in, pay their debts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And another movie just came out by the same director, Wayne Wang, and that's Dim Sum, A Little Bit of Heart. And it's just a little family movie about a family that owns a restaurant and just their day-to-day things. So if it's anything like Chan is Missing, it really delves into the whole culture, Chinese culture, people coming to America, trying to make their way and all that stuff. So can't wait to check that out.
Yeah, and that just little piece of like, hey, we're in a restaurant, let's see what happens. I like that premise.
Yeah. Yes. And like you said, directors, if I've seen something by a director, I'm going to pick up the rest of his filmography in the Criterion collection. There's a reason it's on Criterion.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be bad. I think I've only ever seen one bad Criterion movie.
Oh, me too. Do you want to say it at the same time?
I would have to think about which. Well,
I can say mine right now.
Oh, go ahead.
Jellyfish Eyes.
I have not watched that yet, and it was probably because you said it sucked.
It is terrible. I highly don't recommend that sucker. That's like the only movie I've seen from them that I'm like, I kind of want to get this out of my collection because I'm never going to watch it again.
I do know mine. Onibaba. It's people praise it. It's a Japanese ghost story about these women that kill samurai. Then they get haunted by this masked man. And everybody, oh, it's a great movie. I watched it. I was bored to death. It's literally 45 minutes of this lady running back and forth in a field, having sex with this guy, and then running back to her mom. Like, that's all it is the whole time. And then this guy with the mask shows up and the movie's over. It was, I was like, no. I got yelled at for the next movie because when I picked this up and gave my little synopsis of picking it up, apparently I ruined the movie, even though this is from 1973. And the clue is right on the front cover, but I picked up the 4K of Don't Look Now.
Yeah.
I've never watched this movie, but I love Donald Sutherland. And I've always seen the memes and the little video clips of the red jacketed person.
Yeah.
And so now I know what it went to. I did not know it was from this movie, so I picked it up, and I can't wait to watch it finally.
I'm in the same boat as you. I almost picked that up on this sale, but I didn't. But it's a movie that I've been meaning to watch forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and I go, oh, you shouldn't spoil the ending. It's like 1973, man. It's older than me.
And that's like the only thing I know about the movie is the ending.
Exactly. I think everybody knows that. The next title, I couldn't believe actually got a Blu-ray release from Criterion. I think it does have a Twilight Time release, which I'm sure is long sold out and way expensive, but La Bamba. This and the Buddy Holly story, I even said it in my pickups video. I used to watch these two all the time in the 80s when these came out. Like, this is a great movie. I'm so glad it finally got a proper Blu-ray release. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard really good things, that the restoration on it's really, really good. The sound and everything's good. So can't wait to check that out.
Sure.
The next thing, I know nothing about this collection. I just know people were saying it was a big deal that Criterion was putting it out. And everybody piqued my interest on it, and that is the Freaks set. I know what's it, Freaks, the Unknown, and the Mystic. Don't know anything about it. I know it's basically the director went into a circus world and kind of just filmed the freaks or whatever, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, I've only heard of Freaks, but yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it's pretty decent and still holds up today. So I almost got that set, but I haven't heard of the other two movies, and it was just a little bit too expensive of a blind buy for me.
Yeah, one day I'll regret my money spending, but
no, don't say that. Yeah, you'll be fine. We never regret it.
No, are we supposed to be saying the spine numbers to appease the masses?
I personally. It's cool that the spine numbers are on there, but they've never been a huge factor to me. How about you?
I know for the videos, like people get mad in the comments if you don't say the spine numbers, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of I've noticed it's a running joke in the Bluetooth community. If you don't say the spine numbers, people are going to
Well,
get mad.
I don't want you to do a rapid fire of all the spines you just bought either, though.
The problem is I probably can't read them anyway because my eyesight is horrible at close up.
Well, let's do La Bamba. La Bamba was the newest one, right?
Jeez.
Eyesight test.
I need to get a magnifying glass. Like Tony from Basement Blues is not wrong. 1193. So I got to put a flashlight on it.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Well, I will show off number 11.
I've got one more.
Oh, you got one more. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're okay. Because if you didn't want to spend the money on the Freaks box set, I know you wouldn't want to spend the money on this because I think this was originally $124, and that's the Jackie Chan Emergence of a Superstar. It's like his first 6 movies: Half a Loaf of Kung Fu, Spiritual Kung Fu, The Fierce Hyena 1 and 2, The Young Master, and My Lucky Stars. But I love Jackie Chan. I don't own the Police Story Criterion just because I have that Eureka behind me somewhere. The Eureka box set 4K. It's got all 3 movies. But I'm so mad because 88 Films is putting out a lot of his stuff, and I had already bought some of it.
Yeah.
But this I like complete sets where you've got everything in a nice little package. So got a double dip.
Yeah, I have the Jackie Chan collection, volume 1 and 2 from Shout Factory. Yep. Those are the ones that I have. Yeah, but that's another actor I have seen like very little of his work. I just need to like take a week and deep dive into a lot of his filmography.
There's a lot of good stuff. He is what got me into Asian cinema, pretty much.
Nice. Oh, very cool. Okay, the last one I have is a blind buy for me, but I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about it. And every movie I've seen from Spike Lee has been one that I've more or less enjoyed. I got Malcolm X because I feel like this is a movie I just need to watch at some point, right?
Yeah. I seen it when it first came out. I bought it at the last sale, and I need to rewatch it and see how the 4K transfer is.
Right. One thing I'd love about, or an added bonus to a movie when I buy it, if it has another movie in its special features. And this one has a documentary, I think a making of documentary just a documentary on Malcolm X, which is, narrated by James Earl Jones. And give me the most bang for my buck when I buy something. I'm a sucker for that always.
Oh yeah. I haven't even looked at the special features on this. I know I picked it up and it went right on the shelf, and I haven't watched it yet. Like most of my movies.
Yeah. A good chunk of mine that happens too. I'm like, one of these days I'll get to it. But I always like to look at the special features at least before I put them in. And adding an extra movie in there is always a good in my book.
Yeah. I will say, like, I'm not usually an extra features person. Like, I'm all about the packaging and the extra stuff in it, but I usually don't watch special features on movies. But Criterion, for some reason, I always watch the special features. They seem like they always have just really nice put together essays and interviews and stuff like that. And I always learn something about the movie.
Yeah. See, for me, I love packaging and it's great to look at and everything. But like Second Sight, for instance, I am A-okay getting the standard release from their stuff just because their transfers are phenomenal and their special features they always go above and beyond with that stuff. So as long as I just have the disc of goodies that's on the inside, I'm okay if I don't have like a book I'll never read with it too, you know?
Yeah, but that drives. You get the book. And you get the storyboard about the first chase, and it's just so nice to look at.
The drive is the one big box that I regret not buying, just because the way that one always looks nice. I just have the standard edition of that, but the transfer on that sucker, oh my god, one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen.
Yeah, my QLED went out on me. I had a Samsung, and one of the panels finally went out on. So I upgraded to an LG OLED, and that was the first thing I put in just to demo it.
You started off with a bang.
The opening scene with the Los Angeles night sky was so beautiful.
Yeah. It doesn't get much better than that. Like the 2 transfers that I think everybody should see, like once you get an OLED, Drive, because it'll drop your jaw for sure. And then Charlie or Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
That transfer, even though the movie's 50 years old, looks like it was made today. It's so crispy. And oh my God. I could talk night and day about that transfer.
Yeah, the boat scene is even more scary with all the enhanced colors and that. Yeah, the whole movie looks awesome. Oh, go ahead.
No, when he first opens up that door into like the chocolate wonderland, oh my
Yes.
god, I felt like one of the kids. I was so excited to see it. It was so good.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I put it in there just to see what it would look like, and I fast forwarded to that part or skipped to that part. And when he opened it up, you're like, this looks amazing. Like it was just filmed. It just
Mhm.
looks so realistic. So good.
Yeah, and my kids had never seen it before, so they saw it in 4K for the first time, just like me, and they loved it. I loved it. It made my heart full. It was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's see. Let's get through a few comments, and then we'll start talking about a movie here. Would that be a sextuple stamp? I think so, possibly. Yeah, math is hard for me too. I don't know if I could do that or not. A lot of good evenings and haze and all that jazz. OJ slash the like button. All right, very good. I'll take it. Because the Naked Gun coming out. Did you get that Steelbook?
I am not a Naked Gun fan. I am not. This is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. I'm not a fan of Leslie Nielsen. Is that his name?
Okay.
Nelson.
Yeah,
I just
Leslie Nielsen.
his humor for some reason to me just doesn't. It doesn't click.
Okay. See, I like a good parody movie, but I've never seen any of the Naked Guns. So I was kind of like, I should, if I'm ever going to get this, a Steelbook is going to make me get it. It's just the Paramount Steelbooks, man. I bought Wayne's World because of course I did, and then 9 months later it came out with the 4K with the exact same Steelbook. So I literally had no reason to rebuy it. If it was a different Steelbook, I'd probably double dip on it.
Yeah, I was upset too with that too because they should have had a Wayne's World 1 and 2.
Yes.
Like it should have been all in one Steelbook because they did the Blu-ray release at the same time that had 1 and 2 in it. But yeah.
I'm hoping 2 just gets a standalone Steelbook release at some point. That I think it's asking for a lot, but I think Wayne's World 1 sold well enough. It might. I don't know. I like Wayne's World 2 quite a bit. I don't think enough people talk about that one either.
No.
It's a good. Yeah. Artwork on Laserdiscs look awesome. Yes, that's one of the main reasons why I really like collecting it right now. It's just, I'm a big vinyl guy upstairs too. I've got a bunch, so it's kind of like ticking the same boxes. And I like seeing different original artwork on movies that just kind of got lost to time.
Yeah,
very cool to see. OJ slash the like button. Thank you, Dell. Appreciate that. Even Movie Hunter, how's it going? The only Criterion that Hall & Oates didn't care for was The Last Temptation of Christ. I still haven't seen that one. I think I've made it like halfway through Scorsese's filmography.
Hold on. Last Temptation, that's with William Dafoe, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm thinking of the Caviezel one.
The Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ. Yeah. No, I have not seen Temptation then. I've seen The Passion, but not The Temptation.
Mm-hmm. I heard that Mel Gibson's making a sequel to Passion of the Christ. I don't know what the hell you do. The resurrection, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I was going to say, after the third day, he resurrects, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Go crazy, Mel. You're already crazy.
Yeah.
Hayes, Don't Look Now is kind of crazy. That's what I've kind of heard. I know the ending, and I've heard it's a wild ride. That's about all I know about that movie.
Donald Sutherland he always looks crazy in all of his movies, and that and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, both of them, he's like, oh, like his crazy face.
Right. Don't care what the spine numbers are. I don't either. We had a discussion before we went live. All of my stuff, because I work at Hollywood Video, all of my collection is alphabetical. You actually do Criterion by the spine number. How do you find anything?
With a flashlight. I just really, I try, if I'm going to watch a Criterion and I have not watched it yet, I'm trying to watch stuff that I've never watched. I was talking about this earlier. I will only rewatch a movie nowadays if it's for a live stream. Like the movie we're going to talk about tonight, I watched over the weekend, even though I've seen it 3 times before. But I try to start at the beginning and just work my way down. Like last night I watched Seventh Seal. It was the first movie I came to in the row that I had not seen yet. So I just try to makes it a little bit easier. Really, the spine numbers are ridiculous. It does make it a little bit harder because the rest of my collection, other than some of my box sets, are alphabetized. So it does make it a little difficult sometimes.
Right. But yeah, like you said, like people are freaks with their spine numbers, and I'm not part of that cult. I don't drink that Kool-Aid. I don't get it, but teach their own, I guess.
The only thing I probably get out of it, since I was a late starter, I think I started somewhere in like maybe the 700s, because I think they're almost at 12 right now. I was probably like mid to high 700s. It's nice to see when I get movies, when I slot them in there, filling in like those older titles, like
Mhm.
that kind of maybe a little bit, but it is kind of pointless to have them by spine number.
One video I watched of yours before we went live, you recommended 10 Criterion movies, and I watched the whole list. And out of the ones that I've seen, I 1,000% agree. Like the Before trilogy, I feel like
Yeah,
if
God, yes.
nobody has seen that movie, like I didn't, I just watched it for the first time a couple of months ago, fell in love with it. If you're on the fence about it at all, now's the time to get it when you can get it half off because you will be swept off your feet.
Yes. And the movies are probably in order one, two, three, and
Agreed.
they're good, but three is still leaps and bounds above a bad movie. Like it's
Correct.
really,
There's
really
no
good.
bad movies in this trilogy.
Yeah.
Correct. But yeah, just the path that this couple goes down is so fascinating. And I'm not a big like romance dude, but this had me
No.
captivated from start to finish across all three movies. It was great.
What drew me into it was I don't like movies with a whole lot of like speech and all that, but
Mhm.
it was so well written and well spoken. It just draws you in.
Yep.
Like you hang on everything. And even in the quiet moments, there's so much stuff spoken in it.
You're just a
Such a good
fly on the
movie.
wall of their relationship. And
Yes.
I ate it all up. It was so good. And then the other movie that you talked about that I've never heard literally another single person talk about. And I was so happy when you brought it up, Minding the Gap.
Oh, yes. Probably one of the best documentaries I've seen in a
Me
long
too.
eh, I
Last 10
guess it's
years.
technically a
Past 10
documentary,
years.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. No, it is.
and I
It
learned a
came out the
lot.
same year as mid-90s, and mid-90s took all of the skateboarding hype with it. And I feel like Minding the Gap, nobody saw it, even though it was on Hulu that year when it came out. Loved it so much. I knew I had to buy it, and I was so happy when I saw it came out on Criterion. Picked it up day
It
one.
it reminded me so mid-90s was good, but my precedence for a good kids skateboarding movie is Kids, the actual
Mhm.
movie Kids, and
Oh, sure.
Minding the Gap really kind of reminded me of Kids. So, like, I just thought it was really, really, really good. I know that's a weird comparison, but
No, it's not. It goes into the same atmospheric tones, I guess. Like it
yes.
doesn't go as crazy as what Kids does, but it
No.
still like gets that grassroots, like, hey, this is what kids do.
Yeah.
Let's watch type of thing. Yeah, I think you're dead
And
on there.
yeah, and growing up, that the whole Tony Hawk Pro Skater video games and all that,
Mhm.
just the whole skateboarding culture was a big thing growing up, and just
Yep.
it it was a really, really, really good documentary.
I skateboarded once and fell on my ass, had a giant bruise, never got on it again. But I love skateboarding culture. I love the video games, just like you said. So yeah, watching that movie was enthralled.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Okay, Malcolm X needs to be watched. I will, Dell. I bought it. I promise I will watch it. Wilkie just bought an OLED, but his old TV, or he wants an OLED, but his old TV keeps on kicking. Totally get it. I bought a house a few years ago. It came with a TV downstairs that it wasn't the best. Like the black, there's no windows in my basement. The black levels were terrible on it. It drove me nuts, but I kept it for like 4 years until it finally crapped out. I'm like, okay, thank God. Let's buy this OLED. Let's go. And if you're on the fence about it, I think TVs are getting to the point to where like it's not a crazy expense for an OLED anymore.
No, I got mine on the Memorial Day sale. I think that's when my other TV crapped up. Whatever the later in the year, I can't remember if it's ever Veterans Day or Memorial Day, whatever the later in the year one is, a couple
Hmm.
months ago. And I think I got mine. It's a 65-inch, and I think I paid under 17 for it.
Yeah.
And it's the C3, which is the newest of the C's. I know they've got G's now too, but I don't know the difference between the C's and the G's.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's leaps and bounds over my QLED, and I'm a big Samsung fan. I mean, I've got
Okay.
all my gear is all Samsung, but when I went to the LG, like I would never go back to a QLED.
Sure. Um, I I bought an OLED from Vizio because I try to get the best bang for my buck, and this one I think it was like $1,500 on sale. It was like right when COVID started is when I got this TV, and yeah, I never looked back. I haven't had an issue with the picture. It looks crispy as all get out. So if 3 years ago I got a TV for 1,500, I would think that if you look hard enough, you'll be able to find a heck of a deal out there.
Oh yeah, the Vizios I think are even lower now. I mean, you can probably get them from 999 to like 1,200 for a good one. Vizio, I've been impressed. I know a bunch of people that have Vizios,
Hmm.
and they but as a starter OLED, and they've never had issues out of them. And they say the
Oh,
pictures look great on it.
yeah.
If it does what it's supposed to do, that's good.
I've had 3 Vizios. I think I've owned like 6 TVs in my life. 3 of them have been Vizios, and I've had not an issue with any of them. So I'm a fan of them, a proponent for them for sure. How's it going, Jason? Wilkie, I will not talk to your wife about the TV. That seems like a you and her issue. OLEDs are still about 1,500 for a good size. Yeah, I got a 65 inch. So if I buy an OLED, you will be buying movies. Yes, I think if you don't have an OLED yet, my suggestion for you is to still pick up 4K movies. It helped when 4Ks were still packaged with Blu-rays, but now that there's just 4Ks by themselves, it's a lot of a harder ask. But once you get a 4K player and an OLED, you're gonna wish that you had more in your collection because they just look so good.
I was so happy when Best Buy, when they finally started packaging 4Ks and Blu-rays together in the steelbooks, because before you could buy them separately. And then basically when they started doing that, you could future-proof if you didn't have a 4K system because you could still watch a movie on Blu-ray and have it later.
Yeah, it bums me out that studios this past year are just like putting the 4K disc in. I think it's still too early to do that. I think in a couple of years you'd be able to do that because I mean now we just buy Blu-rays with just the Blu-ray in it and it's fine. It's nothing. But the 4K right now, it still seems a little bit early to me. But
yeah,
who am I? Whatever. Well, we talked about Criterion. Let's go into the big guns, the movie review of this podcast. I have a trailer to watch just to get us in the mood of Marriage Story. There's 2 different trailers I could have chose from. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. I chose this one because it has one of my favorite songs of all time, and I had to choose it. So let's go ahead and watch.
What I love about Nicole.
Loving you.
She's a great dancer. Infectious. She is a mother who plays, really plays. She gives great presents. She's competitive.
What? Are you kidding me? You want to be free.
She knows when to push me.
Oh, baby. I'm down on my knees.
And when to leave me alone.
Please don't make me stop now.
I thought we should talk.
Okay. I don't know how to start.
And your love is growing cold.
Oh my god. So I love Otis Redding so much. So there were 2 different versions of this trailer. One from the man's perspective, one from the woman's perspective. And it's kind of like the first 10 minutes of this movie where they just read over their notes and you don't know why they're reading it. But yeah, I feel like this trailer encapsulates what this movie's about pretty dang well.
Pretty much. It is definitely the Kramer v. Kramer for our generation.
Agreed. Yeah. And I want to say I like this movie better than Kramer versus Kramer. It's hard because that movie is so good too, but I think that this movie's going to age a little bit better than that one did. I will say I feel like Kramer versus Kramer shows one side of the story a little bit too often, and this one ping pongs nicely between the 2 sides of the story.
Yeah, I haven't seen Kramer and Kramer since probably early 90s. I forget when it came out. Was that an 80s movie or was that early 90s?
I think it was
80s.
70s. I thought it was
no, you're
70s.
right. It is 70s.
Yeah.
I'm sure I watched it on TNT or TBS or whatever back in the day, but I don't remember a whole lot about it. But I think you're right. It really was kind of lopsided.
Yeah.
And it was probably because of the times and now because of Noah Baumbach and the way he writes movies and all that and the times now, it really does a good job of showing both sides of the story fairly evenly.
I think it gives them about the same like amount of runtime space. Kramer versus Kramer, it really just shined a light on Dustin Hoffman's character and kind of made him into like the guy you root for, I guess, as opposed to the mom, oh my god, Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
So the movie's really good. Don't get me wrong. I just think that this one does a better job at showing both sides of the story a little better. I think it does shine a little bit of a better light on Adam Driver. It spends more time with him a little bit more, I guess,
Yeah.
towards the end. But I think it kind of like curves back into both of them at the end well enough to where spending more time with him kind of makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it was written that way because really the storyline kind of reads from his perspective what he was thinking, all that. And Scarlett really is just kind of a person that's there. So I can kind of see why Adam's narrative is a little bit more pronounced than hers, even though they are kind of equal on the screen. If you understand what I'm saying.
I think the start of the procedure starts with Johansson, with Nicole, I think is her name in this. She kind of just like stumbles into divorce almost. Like she goes to a third party just to kind of talk things out, has a little bit of like a breakdown to her and realizes, yeah, I guess I should get this thing started. Doesn't know how to like hand off the papers correctly. And then once that happens, then we go into like Adam Driver's role, into Charlie's role. And he's just kind of like, okay, I did not think this is where we're going to go. Let's figure this stuff out on my end now.
Yeah, he's in complete denial, complete delusional land the whole time through the movie too.
Yeah.
What do you think about Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson being picked for this role? Just off the wall.
Man, both of them powerhouse performances. I mean, there are 3 scenes in this movie that really just stick with me, and they have ever since I've seen it the first time. The first one, of course, is the fight, like the main fight that they have in Charlie's apartment. That one,
Yes.
it showed a little bit of it in the trailer. It just starts out with them being like, I don't know what to say, and it's all awkward. And then once like you rip a little bit of that Band-Aid off, it just keeps on going and going until skin gets peeled off. They are like foaming rabid animals attacking each other. And it's as heart pulsing and riveting as any type of like action scene you will see. It's got its teeth in you, man.
Yes. Adam Driver, I did a video on like my 5 favorite Adam Driver movies that he's done. He's probably my favorite working actor at the moment. Scarlett is probably one of my favorite working actresses, and seeing them two together really, I mean, they played well off of each other. Like I couldn't see 2 other people doing like this role.
No. And yeah, Adam, they both get to like sink their teeth into very it's not very often that actors have the chance to portray characters like this. And I think both of them knock it out of the park. I think that they have supporting characters around them that are absolutely wonderful, that just help add flavor to this stew. There's Ray Liotta, there's Alan Alda, there's Laura Dern. Like those main 3 are just so fun to be around, even though they're kind of despicable people at times. It just, it makes this scenario even more juicy when the 2 main characters might not know what to do at first.
Yeah. And I like how he went to Ray Liotta first, and Ray Liotta's the big dog. And he's like, you're too much of a big dog. This isn't what we asked for.
Right.
Or that's not what we talked about. So he goes to Alan Alda, and Alan Alda is like the sheepdog. He's
drooping, man.
Yes. Now if we go to court, we're not going to go to court, but if we go to court, like it just, the dynamic or the difference between them 2 is great. And then Laura Dern is just a powerhouse. Like I'm not huge on like courtroom dramas or anything like that, but I wanted to see these 2 just go at it. 2 just big lawyers, Ray and Laura just going at it. And it was got my money's worth. That's for sure.
If I had one gripe, it's that I wish the courtroom stuff would have played out a little bit longer, because it kind of just like, it's that main scene between the 2 of them maybe lasts 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't last long at all. This movie is like a 2-hour, 15-minute runtime. I would have taken at least another 15 minutes of just the courtroom battle.
Yeah. And then you find out they're not even actually in the main courtroom. They're just in the initial hearing to get the case precedent set where they're going to be either in LA or New York. You're like, man, another 30 minutes of actual case fighting would have been, you're right, fantastic.
See, I would have liked even like them fighting in that little area, like they go so back and forth, beating each other up, and then the reveal happens. I think the longer that gets drawn out,
Yeah.
the more of a punch it would have had. Like, this isn't even the real thing yet, man. This is just practice.
Yeah.
I think that would have been good. There's another character. I'm a big SNL guy, so seeing Robert Smigel at the very beginning of this, like being their therapy coach almost, that was amazing. That was a very good thing.
Smigel, I'm trying to remember which one that is, but there's
He's
two
the one
people
who
that's
plays
also
Triumph, the insult comic dog.
okay. Yeah. Okay. I was
Yeah.
going to say, because there's a whole cast of characters in here that you don't really like. The
Yeah.
guy from Princess Bride is in it. He's in the troop.
Oh
And there's
God,
another-
what's his name? Really old guy, inconceivable. That guy,
Inconceivable.
Wallace Shaw, right? Wallace Shawn,
Yep.
something like that. Yeah, love him.
And then there's the other guy. I can't think of his name. He's got the short hair and he's kind of got a disfigured face. He's been in a bunch of movies. And then you've got Denise from The Walking Dead is her sister, which I thought she was great. Again, you said supporting characters were great all around. They were all good.
Correct. Yeah. No, I there's not a bad apple in the bunch. Like even the kid, I feel like child actors can go wrong a lot, and there's not a lot for this kid to mess up per se, but he did the job, and I can nitpick children actors a lot, and he was fine. He just seemed like a normal kid, which in this scenario I think you need.
He was kind of an a-hole to his dad at some points, though.
Yeah, but so are kids in general. My kids are a-holes to me all the time, and you just
That's true.
take it on the chin and go day by day for sure. It seemed like a real world divorce to me too. I've never had to personally go through that. I've had a couple friends who have, and it just seems like it is a 24/7 nonstop battle until the sucker's finally done.
Yeah, and they do a very good job of pointing out in the movie that even though A and B have talked to each other, lawyer A and B is making the decisions pretty much.
Right.
And it really doesn't matter what you and her have talked about. Like, it's the legalities of everything have to go a certain way. And like, it looks like a horror show. And I liked how they did transition, like you said, from, they're going to just do it civilly. And then she goes talk to somebody. And the next thing she knows, she's got a lawyer and he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And he's still kind of playing like the second time he goes out to LA, he's still kind of playing like I don't know why we're doing this type of thing. And then she's really cold to him. You find out she finally has proof that, spoilers for the movie, by the way, it's hard not to talk about spoilers when you're talking about this. You find out that she finally has proof that Charlie cheated on her, and that's why she was so cold. Of course she's going to be, There's so many different layered aspects to this movie that I appreciate so much.
Yeah, and they made comment about that one time after he found out, and then it was never really brought up again. Like,
right, and even the character, the person that he cheated on, comes up a couple times, and it's still not brought up again.
Yeah,
very bizarre.
Yeah, and that's like, because he even gets the phone call from Laura Dern's. Have you found a lawyer yet? And he's like, no, I'm bumbling around here. I don't know what's going on. Well, if you don't, you're going to lose everything. It's like,
right.
Well, I just thought this was a notice. No, it's legal paperwork. Like, he's just completely oblivious to, he's still in his own world that they're going to go back to New York and live a happy life and fix everything. And
so he's got like 24 hours. He's got 24 hours to like spend as much time as possible in LA to find somebody to represent him. Yeah.
And I'm sure 24 of that hours, like 6 of them are probably driving because LA is horrible.
And he had his kid with him too. Like I get how like you fight for your time, so you want to have it, but I don't know why he would drag his kid to this type of stuff. Just kind of let the kid be the kid.
Yeah. And that was one of the funny things. So he got a rental car, but he takes his bags and everything out of the car every time he parks it. Like LA is so bad, but he's from New York, which is equally as crime ridden. So like, it was just funny, that little dynamic there. Cause the kid, I think, even makes a comment one time, was like, we had to take your luggage out of the car. It's like, he has absolutely no clue.
Ryan, there's so much space in LA though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
that's a joke that's thrown out quite a bit in that movie. He does not seem like an LA guy at all. He wants to stay in New York. He runs his own little like theater company out of there. So he's got his own life, never really let her explore other things besides what he's doing in his theater company. Always included her inside of it, but she kind of had aspirations to do other things and it never really worked out to where he could possibly like go back out to LA and try something different.
Well, and spoilers, he did get the Geffen, whatever it was, offer to move out there for a year or so, but he didn't take it. That's probably one loophole in the movie that's really not explained. He never did give a definitive reason why he never wanted to go to LA or why he like was so resistant to going back there. I think in the back of his mind, he knew if he did that he would lose her. Like that was like the definitive, final straw for her maybe.
Yeah. I always took it as he just didn't want to go. So he told her that he didn't get it or that, he was too busy in New York. Like he seemed like he liked his New York bubble and never wanted to go out unless it was his idea to leave. Like there's also a thing like he went to Copenhagen for like a year or something, went overseas for a while and then came back. But again, that was his idea, not hers. Just kind of like I like my life. I like you part of it. Let's live together. And she's like, I kind of want to do this. So that's how I kind of ran it. Just two people wanted to do two different things. But then at the end of the movie, you see that he does go to LA. He takes a job in LA. So if he would have if they would have talked it out beforehand, they could have skipped all of this.
Yeah. And I love that Noah Baumbach put it in there, but him meeting the new boyfriend for the first time, and like it was nonchalant, nothing at all.
Yeah.
Like, hi, I'm whatever the guy's name was. And like, they do a really good job of showing how quickly things changed every time he came back to LA. Like not a whole lot was said, but you could visually see like a lot of change.
Agreed.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I had three scenes that I really enjoyed. The first one was the fight. The second one, I'm kind of going in chronological order, I guess. When Adam Driver is out in the bar when he gets back to New York, and there's a musical number of Being Alive.
Yes,
that song, the way he performs it is so layered. Like he's going through so many emotional metamorphosis. Really, it's so good. And I'm not the biggest like theatrics guy. I like singing, and I've never really heard that song before. So just the way that he performed it and everything took me for a ride. I absolutely loved every second of it.
Yeah. Then he goes and sits down. You think, oh, he's done. And then he reemerges and goes back up and sings a couple more lines to really get the point across. Yeah. And that's one thing. Of course, Adam Driver's got a theater background, and it's really nice to see him actually able to kind of bring that forward too. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes back down to sit. Like at first he's just like, okay, this is karaoke. I like the song. Let's go. He should be done. And then he's like, actually, I really liked the way this was feeling. I'm going to go back up here, and really gets into it.
Yes.
It's good. And then the last scene that has stuck with me ever since I saw it was like the last scene, second to last scene, where he's reading the note that Nicole wrote in bed. Yeah. The kid finds it, begins reading it. Like, again, the amount of layers on this thing. At first, it's him trying to help his kid Henry read some of the words, and then he realizes what this is, and he's like, the kid's like, "Can you just read this, Dad?" And he does, and then he's trying not to have a complete meltdown when he's reading with his kid in the room, because this is a lot to go through. She would never let him see the note because she just didn't want to at the very beginning of the movie. Yep. So for it to finally go full circle, and for him to read the note, and then towards the end to have ScarJo not even like in focus, just in the doorway, so you know that she's there and you know that she's hearing her thoughts being read by him. Goosebumps. Oh my God. I was into, oh my God, so good. Speechless. Yes. That's how good it was.
I love that scene. There one other scene that I think subtle is when he comes back for the Halloween, the trick-or-treating, and he's trying to get her to put the Frankenstein costume on him and wants to go with them in Pasadena. And she's like, no, we're going to go do our thing. You do it. And then she shuts the door in his face and is like, drive to another neighborhood. It's just a subtle FU to like, I'm tired of your stuff. You figure it out. Like, I'm tired of hand feeding you stuff. And like, I thought that was a very powerful scene as well.
Yeah. That's the one where she was short with him. And that's where she knows that she cheated on him. Yeah. he cheated on her. There we go. And
Yes.
you don't realize that in the moment, and then you do, and like, oh, okay, that's why she's acting the way she is. But man, those
Yes.
costumes looked awesome. I wish, I'm glad
Yes.
I'm glad he wore his. I wish that the Frankenstein would have got worn, but the Invisible Man costume that he wears looks amazing.
Yes, I like how he actually poses as much, but that's got to be horrible in LA, up and down the hills in like the not neighborhood trying to trick or treat. And you've seen the difference in that too, because he pours out his bag when he gets back from mom, and then he comes back and he pours out the bucket. And he's like, "Who gave you a lighter?"
Right. There's 4 things in the bucket. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like he has to go to a Walgreens-esque store just to buy candy to put in the bucket.
Yeah, and that really, I think that helps accentuate the whole shortness, and like you figured out, you try to be a dad in LA where you're foreign and you got to trick or treat with your kid. Like it definitely brings home that little shortness too.
Right. The scene with the social worker is another. It's awkward, just like those scenarios always are. But then there's a trick that the kid talks about that the dad really doesn't want him to talk about. And then they're just sitting in silence. So he's finally like, this is awkward. The trick that I'm doing, I'll show you what it is. And he takes like a razor blade that's in his pocket that he's played with earlier in the movie, does like a fake cut, except he does a real cut. And then it's just awkward from there. He's trying not to play it up. But then as soon as she leaves, goes, grabs as many paper towels as he can, wraps his arm, and like doesn't pass out, but he's like, I feel woozy, and just lays down in the kitchen.
That was probably, I was in the medical field for 15 years. Before I do what I do now, which is not medical stuff, but the scene was really well done. Like medical stuff really, like it's either done really good or it's completely fake and just throws me out of it. But the way he acted trying to get the paper towels off there, and he couldn't rip it off because he's trying to hold the one arm, and he put his foot up there, and like he recognized that he was about to pass out, so he laid down. It was like, that was a very well done medical scene in a movie. But yeah, he was just like, I can't pass out in front of my kid. Then the kid just walks in there, gets some milk, and spills the milk next to him. It's like, you okay? Okay.
Yeah. My wife has been a nurse for over 10 years. It's hard for me to watch any movie that has any medical jargon in it because she will correct it. And I'm like, number one, I don't care. Number two, I'm okay if this is just fake medical jargon. It's going to go way over my head. She absolutely hates it, nitpicks it every time we watch something.
Yeah. My two biggest things are IVs that aren't running and the monitor not showing what they're saying it's showing. That, and when they intubate people, there's numbers on the tube for a reason, because you have to mark the depth on how far you went in. And when it's out of 20, that means it's only sitting inside their mouth. It's not even where it's supposed to be. So like those things just throw me out of it. So I try not to watch a whole lot of that.
Yeah. My wife doesn't like CPR. Like it's usually done wrong a lot on screen.
Oh yeah.
Well, we love physical media. It's all behind us and everything. This version of Marriage Story is a phenomenal piece. And one of the reasons why I love collecting physical media in the first place. You open it up, it's got a picture of ScarJo and Adam Driver. But the thing I love the most is that on the inside, it's actually got a replica copy of each of the notes that they talk about. And it's like to the T in their handwriting and everything, front to back. It's so cool. And for a movie that shouldn't have like any pieces, like replica pieces that you could fit in here, this makes the most sense. And it's such a pivotal piece of this movie. The Blu-ray still in my player, not in here. But yeah, it's just so cool to see something like that in a package like this.
Well, and it's not just regular paper either, too. Like this is quality, like writing paper. And I love how they even have the scratch outs and everything on here where he made his mistakes and scratched them out and all that.
It's good.
And then I've actually have not opened the other booklet in here. I didn't realize this like opens out.
It's a fold
into a gigantic spread.
Yep.
With a bunch of the good stuff in it too.
See, for me personally, 95% of the books that I have in my collection that come with these special editions, I will never read. But cool replicas like this, I will love every time I open up the package. And a fold out like that, it's just a lot easier to see everything really quick. And if there's a page that I skim to really fast, I'll read it. I kind of like the fold out pamphlet more than just the run of the mill book.
So, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just cool.
Here,
Criterion
zoom
always
in on
does
you
really
again.
good. I know. It's got a lot of cool pictures. I love how they have him where he's eating his sandwich in the one picture's over. Oh, there it is over there. So Noah Baumbach directed this. Have you watched a whole lot of his stuff before?
I've seen Merowitz stories and I've seen Squid and the Whale. I think that's about it.
Okay. Squid and the Whale, very, very underrated movie. I don't think enough people have seen.
Jeff Daniels, Jesse Eisenberg is like a teenage kid. Yeah, I watched that in college, and my wife and I still talk about like the library scene. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but like when he's just like going like this on library books, my wife and I still laugh about that.
But he's worked with Adam Driver before. I believe he was in Francis Hall in a very small part, which I love.
I need
Francis
to see
Hall.
that movie. I've heard nothing but good things about that movie.
And then While We're Young with him and Ben Stiller.
Oh yeah, I've seen that in Greenberg too. I forgot about
and
those
Greenberg.
two.
Yes,
I've seen.
He's
those
worked
two
with
well.
Ben Stiller a lot too, but he always has very emotional and very realistic movies. Like he really gets his actors to bring out the emotion and does a really, really good job with that. But if you haven't seen Francis Hall, I think he co-wrote with his wife Greta Gerwig, which I love as well. But it's also in the collection. Squid and the Whale is also in the collection. I think the only way you can get Squid and the Whale is a 2-pack with like Running with Scissors or some other weird movie.
Yeah, that sounds right. Has that not gotten a Blu-ray release? I know of that dual pack DVD, but is that a dual pack on Blu-ray too?
It's a dual pack on Blu-ray. I don't think it's had an individual release except for on the Criterion. But yeah, Noah Baumbach, definitely one of my favorite. And when I heard he was doing this, and of course with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, I was like, I got to watch this. I was watching special features on this. Like I said, it's Criterion's about the only thing I do. I didn't realize Scarlett Johansson was going through a divorce during the making of this movie.
Right.
He was divorced. She was divorcing her producer husband or whatever he was. And apparently him and Adam Driver, Noah Baumbach and Adam, had been like spitballing a story for like years after they had done While We Were Young.
Yeah.
And then he asked Adam, like, who do we get as your wife? And he was like, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, they play off each other very well. And I know that during the filming of Greenberg, which Adam Driver was in again, Noah Baumbach was getting a divorce from Jennifer Jason Leigh. So I think a lot of this script is based off of kind of his time, because she wanted to be more like an actress out in LA. So it kind of similar tones. He was definitely like not stretching for ideas with this one for sure. But yeah, some of the best stories that you can tell are just ones that come from the heart. And I feel like that's why this one is so strong.
Yeah, it was definitely, what did we say, 2019 when it came out? Definitely one of the best movies of 2019 for sure.
Agreed. Well, I think that's about all I had on here. Do you have any closing words for this movie? And then we'll go into comments after that.
Watch it. It's a hard watch, but I like hard watch movies. Like I said, this is the 4th time I watched it. I watched it was on Netflix when it first came out. And then when it got the release, I watched it again, and I watched it again this weekend.
Yeah.
It's, we watch all these movies, a lot, sci-fi and action movies and all that. That's unrealistic. It's nice to watch a movie every once in a while that can really kind of bring you back down and kind of make you feel a little crappy. You kind of need that every once in a while. And this story does it, but it also has hope in it. And it has funny stuff in it and all that. It's just fun to see Kylo Ren and Black Widow go at it.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, like a lot of the franchise movies are the ones that we kind of go back to, but it's always nice to have like a personal story every now and again. And if you have not seen Marriage Story, I'm sorry I ruined a lot of it for you, but it's not ruined because you haven't seen it. And I feel like even if you know what's going to happen in this movie, you need to see the performances in it because they are phenomenal.
Yes.
And even if you don't own this, you can always watch it on Netflix. If you're not a physical media collector, I totally get it. I love how a streaming release got a physical media release, and especially on Criterion. They've been doing that a lot lately. They've had a lot of partnerships with Netflix, which I love to see.
Yes. And they also had, there was a Hulu movie too, wasn't there? It came out.
Minding the Gap.
I know they had, Minding the Gap. Then they had
Hulu,
The Irishman came out, Marriage Story.
Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah, Triangle of Sadness.
Um,
Power of the Dog.
yeah, that's another Netflix one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Moon Age
it's nice.
Daydream, I think the David Bowie documentary. There's a lot on Criterion that they have.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's the other reason to like Criterion. They're putting our stuff out physically.
Absolutely. Dell thinks that the movie should have been called Divorce Story. You could. I kind of like how it's called Marriage Story because I think their relationship does a full 360 by the very end.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
think this one would wreck you? Yeah. I think you should watch it. I watched it in the bedroom. I started it with my wife and she fell asleep. I'm kind of glad. Like I feel like that'd be a hard watch with your significant other.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not a bad thing to do either. Movie is a roller coaster of emotions. True. That trick with the cut. Oh yeah, the cut with the blade. Yes, it was very, very tough for sure. I did not like watching that.
Yeah, you did just say something about 360. That at the end of the movie, he picks up Henry and she ties his shoe,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see her in the background watching him and admiring him again.
Yeah,
like it's. You're right. They went from love to hate back to love by the end of the movie, and it was really, really good.
right. Like there is a world where if they would have talked things out more, they would still be together, and you can kind of see that at the end. Like they still care for one another. They always will. It's just they're in their own different worlds now, and that's what happens. Sometimes it's kind of sad, but yeah, that's life. Forgot Triangle of Sadness. I think that's my least favorite Criterion. I still haven't seen that movie. Have you?
I haven't either, and that's kind of the reason because it's had like either you love it or it's just people have been like, "What the heck is this movie?"
That one was
And it's
nominated for an Oscar, and I still didn't. I usually try to watch every Best Picture nominee of that year. That's the only one that I didn't get around to.
And it's like almost 3 hours long, something like
is it?
that.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a long movie, and not that I have anything wrong with long movies because I watch a lot of long movies. But if it's something I'm not feeling like that, I've heard bad things about, I don't want to grind through 3 hours and kind of when I could be watching another 3 hour long movie.
Yeah, I just know that it stars Woody Harrelson's in it, and that there's an older lady puking gold, and I don't know anything else about the movie. Hey, KB, how's it going, man? Yeah. Well, KB, I'm sorry, but you came at like the end of the podcast. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on here. Do you have anything that you want to plug before we get out of here?
Had a Black Friday video drop this morning on my YouTube, Movies with Ryan. Video comes out every Wednesday. Follow me on Instagram for Steelbook Monday. My video announcements on Wednesday. Fresh Friday Driving Jams on Friday, and the Sunday Spin on Sundays on Instagram when I put what music I'm listening to. Because I do music and movies.
At the beginning when I introduced you, I do think that you and I have very similar tastes in music. And I love to see it because I'm all over the board, but like our hip hop tastes seem to be like dead on.
Yeah, I talked to KB about this too whenever I was on his conversation. Like the new age rap stuff, like mumble rap and all, I can't stand. You give me that 80s, 90s stuff. I love that. And then like the offbeat MF Doom, Sarface, Wu-Tang, just all that odd stuff that's not mainstream. I love that stuff.
Correct.
And then Aesop Rock, which he's like my one favorite rapper.
Yeah, I live in the Midwest, so when I found out about Atmosphere, about them being from like Minneapolis, I've been to a few of their shows. Love them so much. All the Rhyme Sayer stuff, you can't really go wrong.
No, you can't. Yeah, Atmosphere is probably he's right up there. Slug and Ant. I mean, really Slug, or Ant. Slug's the producer / DJ, whatever. Anyway, Atmosphere, been around for a long time, and like they all started with the Definitive Junks that was with Prof and Aesop Rock and all them, and then kind of split up and did their Rhyme Sayer stuff and all that.
Yep. Yeah, Doom was on there for like a little bit. He was there for like a year or two and then disappeared. But yeah,
Del the Funky Homo Sapien was on there. I mean, there's been all sorts of people in and out of there.
Yeah, there are a couple of newer guys. Mickey Diamond is one that has like a very that type of feel that I would highly recommend. He doesn't have enough plays on Spotify at least. So
yeah, he was. You mentioned that Substance 812,
or 810,
and or 810, he was on one of the guest spots on one of the songs I listened to, and I really did like him, and I went back and listened to some of his other stuff. Really, really cool stuff.
Right. I'm not known for my music recommendations, but yeah, if I ever have you back on, I might just do like a music talk with you because I could do that all day, man.
Yeah, I again, plethora of different music. Like I said, if you follow me on Instagram, you see what weird stuff I'm playing every week. So
Sure. Well, I like to kind of show what my next guest is and what movie we're going to talk about next at the end of my podcast episodes. This next one, I cannot wait because anytime that I can watch this movie, I'm going to. And I was on episode 11 of this person's podcast, so he's going to be on episode 11 of mine. It's Films at Home. We're talking
nice.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Second Sight Films. We talked a little bit of Second Sight Films today. I cannot wait. This is going to be a beefy, meaty episode. And I have not seen this transfer yet. I've seen the Dark Sky 4K. I have not seen the Second Sight 4K. And I've been meaning to break into this set. So I cannot wait to watch this sucker again.
I've heard it's better. Again, I don't know what Second Sight does. I don't know if it's how they write them to the disc with the compression and the bits and all that, but apparently their stuff's just a little bit better. So
yeah, I have not been bummed by any 4K Second Sight transfer I've seen. Yeah. And the main thing that I've heard is that the Second Sight looks more clean and the Dark Sky looks more like grainy, grindhousey, I guess. So yeah, I'm interested to see if like the cleaned up version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre takes away from anything, I guess. Because when I think of that, I think of like grime, you know?
Yeah. What I heard, it was brighter, not necessarily like they didn't DNR it all to heck, but it's just a little bit brighter and cleaner, but still kind of grimy. So that's what I heard. But again, I don't watch a whole lot of horror. So
sure. Yeah, I've only seen the movie twice, so I cannot wait to rewatch this sucker. But thank you very much, Ryan, for coming on the podcast. Love talking with you. I will definitely have you on again one of these days. But this has been episode number 10 of Boutique Talk. And until next time, I'll see you.